And right now, I would like to introduce Executive Director of OS China, the largest open source community and the head of Gittee, a large Chinese ecosystem for developers, a company who launched the second largest after GitHub platform for hosting of the code.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the main stage of Smart Dev, Mr. Yong Gittee. We're glad to see you here in Moscow, and I think even our weather is glad to see you in Moscow because it's too warm for Russian autumn. Do you like Moscow? How was your trip?
It's perfect, wonderful.
Okay, we are listening to you with all our attention. You are in the spotlight.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be here, to be invited to have this speech on Smart Dev, this conference. Okay, I think it's the first time for me to speak overseas. Hopefully my English is poor, so I try to explain, what we have done, what's China open source industry look like, and what's our current status, and also I want to introduce what's our commercialization initiative in open source, even our expansion plan in Russia. Okay. As I said, today I'm going to discuss, three things. First is our China open source industry look like. Actually, in China, we start to use open source technology probably back 20 years ago. The first adopter is the internet company. The reason the internet company use open source just because they don't have money to buy the commercial license. For example, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, I knew him 20 years ago. Because they only raised like $4 million capital. They don't have money to buy Oracle database, buy other things. So they have to choose the cheapest solution, like open source. Then after that, the internet company, the widely accepted open source, probably 15 years ago, when the internet company becomes relatively big, strong, then they found even the hardware for them is a big cost they couldn't bear. So they tried to look for other, solutions. So they launched, remove IOE, this movement. It means they want to use all kinds of other solutions to replace the IBM server, to replace the Oracle database, to replace EMC storage devices. So this movement lasts until now. So most of internet companies now they use open architect. They built their own, the server cluster. They use all the open source. So later on, I will introduce. They built their own database, all the systematic software. So. And recently, in recent 5 years, I think the open source become more and more important in China because the Chinese government is encouraging all the key industries to adopt open source just in order to be independent because the Chinese people said if we don't use the internet, we don't use open source, we will be controlled by some country as everybody knows. So back to 2005, when I was working in Red Hat. In that time in China, there is only one person. This person is the only contributor to the Linux kernel at that time. But back to now, you can see in China, in each key open source project, global open source project, Chinese people, I think, are contributing a big portion of source code. They play a very important role in each project. Now, China is ranking as the second largest open source contributor in the world. So, in the past 20 years, overall, China open source becoming more and more popular. Now it's almost even the key banks, all the crucial industries, all using open source. It's become kind of industry standard right now. Also, you can see on the bottom of slides, all the key internet companies in China, they all the main open source contributor. That's, as I said, China is contributing a lot to the global open source community. For the most two important, foundation. First, the Apache Foundation. China now is contributing 21 top projects for Apache. And for Linux Foundation, Linux Foundation is a very good partner in China with Open Source China, with our company. So we are contributing 28, projects for them. Even for some leading projects like blockchain project, the Hyperledger, globally they have over 200 main contributors. But even Chinese people account probably over 60% key contributor from China. So. This is a homegrown open source project with global impact. You can see the TaiBD. TaiBD is it's an open source, database company. I think they attract the biggest amount of VC capital in China. Also, everyone probably knows Open Harmony. That's Huawei's OS project is being hosted on Gittee right now. So also OceanBase, that's from Ali. So many things. Okay, OpenEULA, Apollo, Paddle. Also Chinese people, invent this, front-end language Vue. Probably in Russia, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people are using it. That's a commercial achievement. That's why I say that, because people doing open source, there is a business driver, economic driver. If you look at the left part of the slides, there are a lot of leading American software open source projects. Either they are being acquired by the big giants, either they listed independently IPO in the market. So it's create at least over 100 billion US dollar markup, But red part is Chinese. Have a lot of Killigin, SpinCap, a lot of companies. Now also even Rancher, a small container company, they sold to a US listed company. So I think those companies are playing critical roles in China, and they provide all kinds of solutions. Also, they are doing their commercialization in the market and trying to list it in the market. Second chapter, I want to introduce our China developer ecosystem and our key platforms. You see this chart actually is similar. I think that's a universal model, open source model. On the top, that's a foundation because in US they have several key open source foundations which can really help the open source projects to grow. In 5 years ago, China government approved our national open source foundation called Open Autumn Foundation. Later on, I will introduce. And we have that foundation. We got that foundation help to attract a lot of sponsorship and donation to raise the money, and they select the key, Chinese open source projects, try to help them to grow, help them to market, help them to improve their ecosystem, and here, it's that's clear. The OS community, OS China, we actually built the open source information hub, and also the code hosting platform Gittee that help all the open source writer to host their code. That's I think the core infrastructure of China open source industry. So also a lot of contributor to contribute the project, mainly from the big companies and the internet companies, or even startup companies. So also a lot of users, those users from the private company, from startups, or even from the leading largest the industries, the banking, FSI, and the state-owned companies. Yeah, I think the whole ecosystem has been built in China already. And also the foundation is playing a leading role, helps becomes the whole ecosystem more prosperous. Yeah. That's as I said, China government approved approved the first open source foundation. So the first 10 platinum country donator, all the Chinese key banks and the key internet companies, everyone gave like $1 million per year, and then also OS China becomes the first the golden sponsor for this foundation. Maybe next year we can invite this foundation to share their view with our open source colleague in Russia. Okay, this is slides showing it's our ecosystem on the information hub. That's OSChina, OSChina.net. In this website, actually, we are monitoring over 28,000 information sources globally, and then we're trying to find the latest, the technology information related with open source. Then we collect them, use the AI to translate. We have 24 hours editors and the translator to polish the articles, then post on our website. So the latest website, the latest open source news will be published in Chinese on our website probably less than half an hour. So if you go to China, if you go to all the key tech medias, you find all the the open source related information are basically originally from OS China. So we've got over 6 million regular readers. They share they answer the question, they write their blogs, they answer question. Also, we got our software library here. So it's a very it's a very sticky, it's a very active open source community. People basically share the information here. But that's one of our it's an open source technology information share platform. That is our most crucial infrastructure for the open source industry in China. We spent 10 years to build this. Let's see some statistics on this platform. Now, currently, we have less than 11 million registered users or real name users. Over 200 universities, colleges have registered in this platform. The teachers, gave their works, publish their works, doing the test on this platform. All the students submit their works, also homeworks in this platform. Also, we have over 25 million repositories on this platform. 60% are closed, 40% are opened. So it means 10 million repos on Gittee are open sourced. Okay. Also, we have about, choose over 300 most important leading homegrown, open source project. So that's the top tier of the, China open source project. Also, we have, on this platform, also we have over 250,000 small, medium-sized companies are using our platform. Normally, there are users for each company, maybe 95% is less than 20 people, 20 developers, okay? Also, the very active member monthly is about 8 million. So now we have 500 trillion lines of code, and also data size is 1P right now. So 20 million daily JIT pools. So it's very active, very big. It's about less than 500, server cluster supporting this platform. So this is a core infrastructure of China open source. So all the leading China, open source projects are being hosted on this platform. This is OS China's 3 core capabilities. Actually, we should first look at the 3. China, I think that's the most essential open source infrastructure in China. So, as I said, OS China, information website, and Gittee, the code hosting platform. Then, based on that, we build the whole ecosystem. Based on that, also we build our, DevOps tools platform. So later on, in next chapter, I will introduce this. Also, you can see I think the core value, OS China provided to China OS industry. First, we spent 10 years to build this most frequently used open source repository. So we update on daily, on weekly basis. So now Chinese government is giving us over $2 million supporting OS China to build a trusted open source repository. And finally, we use all kinds of security tools to make sure all those open source code are clean. Then through the safe channel, we distribute that to all the key industries like banks, like security company, like other key companies. They can use this from the source to control, to lower the risk of using open source. I think this work is a very key work we are going to do. Also, through this whole ecosystem, we filter the whole market, all the projects. Finally, we choose the 10 million projects. We choose over 300 projects to be very useful projects, and then we promote this open source project to most of the users, helps the people to better use it. Here is a chart you can see. In China, there are many all big companies like Alibaba, like Tencent, like Huawei, even other companies. They all provide the open code hosting service, but in fact, only our Gittee, we have about in terms of the code number, in terms of the user number, we are about something like 15% of GitHub is our only global competitor, but the rest of the code platforms, their user is really very limited. So we are kind of dominant player in this segment in China. But now 25% of our traffic are overseas traffic. I think in Korea, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, all the Southeast Asia countries, there are a lot of users. Even 3 years ago, we acquired the most famous Japanese open source download platform called osdin.jap. So also will help us to do our global expansion. So this is, also this GT community is becoming a kind of incubator for the top Chinese OS, projects. For example, Huawei, there are two OS, OS project. One is OpenEULA, one is OpenHarmony. OpenHarmony from day one is being hosted on our GT. At the peak time, the OpenHarmony is number one in terms of traffic, is number one on GT's project. But even it's a number one project, the peak time is it accounts less than 5% traffic from OpenHarmony. For the normal days, OpenHarmony only contributed 2 to 3% of our traffic of the platform. You can see our platform actually has huge traffic. Also, users are very diversified. So those companies, all the key projects listed here are all hosted on our platform. Finally, I think I want to introduce what we have done in commercialization, because for most of companies, actually, open source company, if you talk about open source, a lot of people, idea will come out. Open source means, free software to use. I can use for free. I don't need to pay. But for open source company, we need to pay salary. We need to rent office. But how we survive? So it's a big challenge for us. I think OS China has spent 15 years to go through this commercialization process. At the end of the day, we made a little achievement, but still we have got very long journey to go through. First, you look at our business area. Actually, OS China, that's open source community equals like Stack Overflow to US. That's an information hub. Then GT equals GitHub. And also our third pillar business, GT Enterprise. This is our the private, the deployed DevOps solution. So that equals GitLab or Atlassian, JFrog. In fact, 5 years ago, I don't want to say the name. If some names on that list once try to acquire us, also a very attractive evaluation, but finally we rejected. We don't want to be everything, become an American company. So you can see OS China, we started, 15 years as an information hub. 10 years ago, we started the GT. 5 years ago, we started the enterprise. So first we built the ecosystem, then we start to do business. So now we have about 400 employees, but we are doing a lot of things. We are doing a lot of things, comparing other, foreign competitor. Oh, this is not clear. Okay, this is very interesting. I think this is a classical slides I want to share with you. It's our user pyramids. You see at the bottom, this is our ecosystem. So as I said, OS China has 6 million users. GT has around 11 million users. There are some users have the duplication. So if you remove the duplicated the customer, probably we have 12 to 13 million users. All those users use our platform, use our service for free. Based on that, there are over 250,000 SME, small, medium-sized business using our platform. They are using our platform. They all for free. And based on that, there are some, we developed over, the paid enterprise customer is a SaaS service. All the people use our free SaaS, but also over 10,000 small, medium-sized, they paid for us. But above that, we provide some people, they said, I don't want to put my code on your platform, public platform, we want to host by ourselves. So we provide kind of a free download. That's a standard software you can download. We can give you some, some time lock, like you can use 6 months or 6 months for free. If you decide to continue to use, you come back us, you pay. Or by the time you don't pay, and then the software will be blocked. You cannot use it. We have over 1,000 of this kind of free download customers also paid this kind of subscription. And based on that, we have some relatively bigger, also standard, with a very slight, very small portion of a customization service. We have over 300 this kind of customer. Based on that, we have 70% of our key accounts from banking, 10% from a state-owned company, the 10% from defense industry, 10% from the leading manufacturer. So that's our, interesting, user parameters. So from a free user, individual user, to free enterprise user, to small, the enterprise, to big enterprise. This is our, enterprise DevOps tools. Basically, we have project collaboration, software development, and the CI/CD, but we don't do the operation. But you can see that we have a full set of products. We can replace all the leading Western, the software. In China, at least 3 years ago, all these software are overseas software, basically US software. But now, government is encouraging the state-owned company and the government to replace those Western software with open source software, with homegrown software. So we are taking advantage of this policy. Our Zoos solution, I think Russia probably is having similar situation with China. So maybe our solution can help, our Russian colleagues to overcome the difficulties. Here, these are all the leading, customers. So from manufacturing, from financial, all the leading companies in China. Here is our, very important slides. It's our commercialization path. As I said just now, 15 years ago, we started to build open source community, and 10 years ago, we started to build the developer community. And 5 years ago, we started to build our enterprise software. From now, it's entering the AI age. So we are trying to spend maybe next 5 to 10 years to build our AI intelligence platform. So later I will explain. First, we are going to build the similar like a Copilot, is a code auto generation platform, because back to 2016, in our product plan map, we have planned that we are going to build this kind of code assistant to help the developer to better write code. But at that time, there are no technology breakthrough. Also, we are lack of capital, so the project has keep delayed. Now, I think all the conditions become mature, so we are going to invest heavily on this. Also, we are going to build the platform. Also, we attract all the, the leading model developers to work with us. But we don't position ourselves as a model developer. We position ourselves as the platform developer. Also, if you look at the Copilots, the business model, first they got GitHub, then they have OpenAI, the ChatGPT, then they become the Copilot. So we have Gittee that's equivalent to the GitHub, then we need to build our code generation engine. Also, in this initiative, we are welcome to our Russian colleagues to work with us. I think Russia is a very innovative country. You've got many smart people, so maybe we can work together. Before we build the information platform, then code platform, now we are going to build the model platform. That's a model platform. This platform will be launched end of next quarter. So now, in China, we are also being blocked by the American government. It's very hard to buy the GPU card. So even they said you can buy the A100, but it's still very difficult to get. And hopefully, yesterday Huawei said that they are going to, provide such capabilities. That's great news for us. We are talking with because this, its computing capability become very, very extremely expensive. So we are talking with different China local governments who wants to get them support. They provide the computing capability. We built the whole SaaS. Yeah. Finally, that's a last slide. It's our business plan because last May, I think I received an email from Russia. So they saying we want to discuss with you. Then I think they are representing the Open Code Foundation, which is formed last year, I think, by Russian government. So last year we spent a tremendous effort to work with our Russian colleagues, try to see how we can help our Russian colleagues to build our Russian, code hosting platform. So until now, we are keep very close, frequent communication with our Russian colleagues. So this year we want to set up a JV with our Russian local partners to provide some services here. First, we want to build our Russian, Gittee SaaS to provide, the online DevOps service for the small, medium-sized business. Also, we want to build a Russian version, Gittee, Russian version Gittee. Finally, also, we want to distribute or market our DevOps tools in this country. Also, hopefully, we can find a partner. We can build a Russian version, the Hugging Face here. I think is also that's key infrastructure for in the AI time. So, also, we want to maybe find the right partner to to do some sales and joint sales and marketing. Anyway, so I think we want to leverage our capability and our resource and expertise. In open source, we accumulated from the past 15 years. Try to find the right partner to help, find the right way to work with our, Russian open source, industry to see whether we can help. Okay, that's all my slides. Hopefully, we can build the open source future together with our Russian friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Thank you for this great presentation. It was precise, concise, and really great. As I promised, we have several questions, and you know that the key idea of the conference is cooperation, collaboration between tech industry, between companies. So I'm asking about OS China. Who was the driving force, the main force of such great collaboration? The government or business guys like Tencent, Alibaba, and others?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I think at the beginning, as I said, because of the cost issue, so the big internet companies wants to use the open source, and after the open source technology become more and more mature, then the state-owned company and the FSI industry, because they are very conservative, they don't want to take a risk, they start to try to how to use it, and then they get used to, they think open source is trustworthy, so they start to use. But recently, I think in China, the open source is, you cannot avoid open source. Open source is becoming the industry standard. Also, because our, China government is launching kind of information, information innovation movement. They encourage Chinese, all the government agency and the state-owned company to use local software, to use all homegrown software, because I think the majority of homegrown software inside is being supported by open source. So I think there's a two forces now joined together because internet companies make the open source mature. It has proved, the value of open source, and now the government gives some preferable policy to push the company to embrace open source. I think that's the situation in China.
That's very interesting. And when we are talking about business, how did you manage to come to terms with each other? Because there are a lot of big players.
If you talk about the, collaboration, probably in China, a lot of, competition because, as you know, China has 10 times population than Russia. Also, as I know, probably in Russia, you have only 1 million, developers. In China, even the coder, we have 1 million. We have 10 million, with 10 times then. So in any kind of vertical, any very specific software, you can find in China because so many smart people. Every year, there are 2 million IT-related graduates from universities. So a lot of people start up their own tech companies. So also in China, the VC industry is very advanced. If you got good education, you got a little experience, you raise your hand and said, I can do this, you write a good BP, then probably it's very likely you can get the money. You can get capital. They start to do. So in each segment, very, very crowded. So people have to compete. You cannot avoid the competition. And, that's a business. That's a business. That's
right.
a business.
But as for competition, when we have competition for internal market, between products and companies, on one hand, this is a driving force for technical progress. But on the other hand, it's not very efficient to have dozens of companies doing the same job. How to find a balance there?
Maybe if somebody uses up their money, they don't pay salaries, then they exit from the market. I think it's a kind of a natural selection process in China, to be honest. It's very tough.
Okay, and one more question. Question about from our audience. How do you see collaboration between Chinese and Russian companies? Are you interested in collaboration, or are you just interested in selling your products?
I think I'm interested in both. I know Russian people, as I said, are very, very smart, very, very, innovative. Also, I think China, in history, in past 70 years, China learned a lot from Russia. So we have, people like me at my age. When I was a child, we listened to the Russian music. We read all the Russian literature, so novels. So we have a strong feeling, very close feeling with Russian people. We are willing to help. Also, I think if we find the right chance, we are happy to work together with the Russian people, to solve some difficulties. Also, in terms of the business, we are happy to do. I think China product is reliable, also is very cost effective. I think that's our advantage. So nowadays, a lot of China software companies are thinking to go globalization because internal market, the competition is so fierce. So also, the competition is very bad. So they want to go abroad. Yeah.
Thank you. And next question from our audience. What does Russian market need from Chinese companies? How do you think?
I really need to talk with our colleagues. That's the reason why I'm here. I want to listen, from our Russian friends. What do you need from us? Maybe what kind of our resource and expertise you can leverage to better serve the local market. Yeah.
Okay, and you will have a chance to communicate a little bit later. And the last question, I promised.
Okay, no worries.
What do you recommend if someone from our audience wants to engage with the community you've built in China? Is there a way to engage or just look silently from afar and admire?
Oh, I think we are welcome to Russian developer to join the China homegrown projects as I said, like Open Harmony, like many other leading projects are welcome. But the only thing I'm wondering, just probably because of language, because in Gittee we have about 11 million users, but in China we have 2 million developers registered on GitHub. So because those people, they have better education and they can speak English skills better, so they go to the GitHub to work on the global basis, not with the local people. Probably barrier I can see probably is language issue, because Chinese language is very difficult, as difficult as Russian.
But we will try to learn. Maybe is anyone who knows Chinese? Look.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. It was quite a highlight. Thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge. Mr. Yong Gittee.
Thank you.